listening to the Mark Bradford Alchemy for Life podcast.
Hey, I got a question for you. Hey there. Does this suck? If you're a creative or anyone that produces a project or a work product of some kind that you can take a step back and look at some point you may have asked, does this suck? Let's get this out of the way. I'm not talking about not having the confidence in what you do, nor am I talking about being a bit neurotic about things or second-guessing yourself, or constantly needing to have someone else validate your stuff. I'm talking about the other kind of person. The person I assume you are. Somebody who gets it. You're the kind that thinks if you don't give it your all when you do something, what's the point? So let's assume you're like me, and you're a person that gives it their all. It's this giving your all to it that actually creates this moment sometimes. Sometimes when you're deep in the middle of giving your hypothetical 100%, you stop and think, does this suck? Because you value your effort and you don't want to put a tremendous amount of effort into something only to have a product that you're not proud of, people don't like, and you could have done better. So the first step of this is recognizing that you do have these moments from time to time. You may have this moment every single time you work on a project. And I'm not talking about making course corrections as you work. I'm talking about the, oh crap, does this suck moment? If you're having this moment a lot, it means you think your work is important. You possibly doubt your abilities, and you're not using your time machine. What I mean by the last thing is you can simply look back at the other stuff you've done. Does all that suck? No? Then why would this? You have a few answers, you clever person, you. Each one is different. Some are more challenging than others, and sometimes I'm so deep into it that I don't see the big picture. It's that last one that is the most valuable. It is universally valuable to be able to pull yourself out of a project, a conversation, a movement, a relationship, and anything else that you were deeply involved in to take a look from above and assess it as a whole. The 30,000-foot view, as they say. I know this is valuable because I was once pursued to develop a product by the president of a development company. After meeting with him and hearing about his vision, I asked him why he didn't just have his team of developers create the product for him. His response was that though their coding skills were on the whole equal to mine, none of them had the ability to look at the project from the 30,000-foot view. I had the ability to dig deep and also take a step back. I think if you're an independent creative, an entrepreneur, or someone who is self-driven, you've probably developed both skills in parallel. And those two skills create the perfect environment to once in a while think, does this suck? So my advice to you is just these three things. Number one, if it sucks, it doesn't mean you suck. Non-sucky people sometimes make sucky things. Number two, understand that there's some room between constantly doubting your work and assuming that everything is fantastic. You want to live in the middle there somewhere. Number three, keep asking yourself if it sucks because that means you are making a good product and ultimately you are the judge of things and you care. Let me emphasize again that I'm not talking about not having the confidence in your own work. This is something that happens when you're first starting out. Eventually, you should have confidence in your own work. Eventually, you should feel that you make a pretty good product, that you're competitive, that what you do is pretty good. Even if this is a hobby we're talking about, even if this is something you just do for fun, you still eventually think you're pretty decent at it, right? There's got to be that aspect of it. People don't typically do something for years and years and think, wow, this is really great, but I stink. You eventually get good at it, even just through repetition. What I'm talking about is a sort of an uncharacteristic disbelief in your own product or work. Like you're somebody that creates something that's really pretty good. But every so often you look at it and you go, this is garbage. Oh my God, I'm a fraud. This is horrible. Why am I even doing this? I mean, there is something called, I think it's the fraud syndrome, right? And that is supposedly when you feel like, or the imposter syndrome, I'm sorry. The imposter syndrome, when you feel like you're an imposter and you're not really doing what you should be doing and you're just sort of faking it. Well, a lot of life is faking it, and a lot of life is kind of figuring things out as you go and thinking on your feet. If you're an entrepreneur or have that entrepreneurial spirit or are someone who goes in a direction that others do not, following the seldom taken path, if you will, you know that you're kind of got to make stuff up on the way, right? You know, you enter a lot of territory that you're completely unfamiliar with. Some jobs are very much like that, in which almost every day you are encountering something that you've never seen before, and you just sort of have to figure it out. As an example of this, before I went on my own and became self-employed many, many years ago, the last 3 jobs I had before that were jobs that I had literally created in the company I worked at. I had one job, and then I created a different position, and I said, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. So again, it's not a confidence thing. It's a normal thing for you to pull your head out of the sand or out from the monitor or out from the grinding wheel and say, wait, am I still making a good product? It's this same sort of 30,000 foot view that causes creative people to take left turns sometimes and say, well, yeah, I think I want to do something different now. I think I've done that to death, and I kind of want to do something different. So this is a really good thing for you to do this. As much as you see this as a negative, it's a good thing to look at it and go, does this suck? Because I'll bet you time and time again, you'll compare your product to another product, or you'll just look at it and know that it actually is a really good product. And maybe once in a while you do suck. And that's okay too. It really is. So again, keep thinking you suck once in a while. Keep taking your head out. And keep caring. And take care. Hey there. Thanks for listening. You know I always appreciate your feedback, right? Well, here's your chance. You can connect with me on Instagram, via the Alchemy for Life site, or most other social media. If you like this podcast, you may love my new book, Alchemy for Life: Formulas for Success. The 239-page paperback is available on Amazon and everywhere else you get your books. All this info is available at Alchemy for Life. Thank you. See you next week.